Well, I lived with Dwight Eisenhower for 15 years and felt like I got to know him very well. And I do think about the parallels between the two. It's kind of inevitable if you're in my position, and there are parallels. Again, Eisenhower has much less combat experience than Washington. Washington has actually been a soldier for 5 years and has been in very, very intense combat. He's seen his commanding officer essentially die in his arms. Eisenhower had no experience like that. They come into the job because they've been chosen largely as political generals. And they have that very much in common. Franklin Roosevelt chooses Dwight Eisenhower to be the commander of the Allied Expeditionary Force for the final campaign beginning in Normandy because, as Roosevelt says, he's the best politician among the generals. Washington is chosen somewhat for similar reasons. He is a compromise. He's a Virginian in an army that at that point is entirely New Englanders, a different country altogether from his Virginia. And he's chosen because there is a recognition by John Adams and others that he's got political skills. These are enormously important for any general of a large coalition force, and the colonial army is a large coalition force. And so you see both Washington and Eisenhower bringing this skill set to the job and growing, getting better and better at it, actually. I find that Washington is a better field marshal than Eisenhower. Eisenhower has some real holes in his game as a field commander. He doesn't see the field spatially and temporally the way a great captain does. Washington, who makes some serious mistakes as a field commander, obviously, nevertheless pulls off some things, Trenton being the obvious example, that I don't think Eisenhower had in his playbook. You see their ability to handle subordinates with similar deft touches. Again, it's imperfect. It's a difficult thing to master while you're also waging, in each case, ultimately a world war. But you see that they've got leadership skills that are quite similar. They've got traits that strike me as being very much of a piece. Their ability to pick out subordinates, in Washington's case, the Henry Knoxes, the Greens of the war, who may not be obvious as great military leaders to most people, but somehow Washington sees them. Eisenhower has similar skills. He is able to put a finger on the James Gavins of the war, the Matthew Ridgways of the war, and recognize that these are men born to lead other men in the dark of night. So it's fascinating to live with the two of them together.